Good afternoon. I am Captain Sarah Galt, a C-130 instructor navigator assigned to the 166th Airlift Wing. On behalf of the men and women of the Delaware National Guard and our presiding officer, the Adjutant General, Major General Michael Berry, welcome to the celebration of life for Major General Carol Timmons. At this time, please rise for the arrival of the official party, the playing of the national anthem, and a C-130 flyover. Remain standing for the indication given by the 166th Airlift Wing Chaplain, Anthony Giamello. Father Giamello.
Please bow your heads. We gather today to honor our former Adjutant General of the Delaware National Guard, Major General Carol Timmons, who has gone before us marked with the sign of faith. We remember her selfless devotion to service. We celebrate her legacy and memory, the indelible mark that she has left on our country and state. We honor the example that General Timmons set forth in pursuing excellence in all things, hard work, dedication, service before self, and integrity as the means of building character within our organization. As we pay tribute to a true servant leader in Major General Carol Timmons, we give thanks for the many blessings she imparted on our country and state. May eternal rest be granted, and may perpetual light shine upon her. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Giamello. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Today is a special day as we celebrate the life of Major General Carol Timmons. It is with great pleasure I welcome to the podium the presiding officer for today's event, the Adjutant General, Major General Michael Berry.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. In the back row, if you can't hear me, just give me a thumbs up and I'll raise the volume. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on this special day to honor a great American, a great Delawarean, and a great teammate. We all recognize the tremendous loss we have experienced in the passing of Major General Carol Timmons. However, we also recognize how fortunate we were to have had her on our team and leading us as we serve our state and nation. Today, we're conducting a celebration of life for her family, and for us. We have a tremendous showing in person, all within the accepted COVID safety standards, and of course, virtually on Facebook Live through the use of technology. I have to begin with acknowledging Chaplain Giamello and his role in providing us such a beautiful day for our celebration. Thank you, Chaplain. And certainly a deep appreciation to the 166th Airlift Wing for providing the flyover. And if I may start off with a quote from General Timmons, how cool was that? We also have on display Major General Timmons' personalized C-130. It's in behind me here, up on the hill. This is a very special aircraft, as it was dedicated to her in recognizing her being named the Delaware Air National Guard 2019 honoree. This particular airframe, tail number 901057, came to the Delaware Air National Guard in 2005. It's been flown by Delaware Air National Guard pilots through operations Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, and now Freedom Sentinel. It continues to add to its outstanding record of over 10,000 flying hours and over 2,500 sorties. And it could continue flying with some modernization to the year 2040. I will be introducing our official party momentarily. However, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that everyone here today and watching online was a VIP to Carol. She truly understood the importance of everyone on our team, and she had the art and the knack of making sure that we all were recognized and heard. I will take a moment to introduce Carol's wife, Dr. Lynn Wass, and her mother, Ann, and the rest of the Timmons family, and thank them for sharing her with all of us for so many years and being gracious enough to allow us to celebrate her life today. Now I'm going to do things a little bit different. During such events, emotional events such as this, we fully recognize that our restrictions on close contact, such as hugs and handshakes, and in order to complete our introductions and also offer Lynn, Ann, and the rest of the family that comfort that comes with the hugs and the handshakes, I'm going to ask all of the family members, if you're able, to please rise and face the rest of Carol's family. If you're in Carol's family, please rise if you're able. And just face out into the crowd. And please remain standing. Now I'm going to read a list of groups and organizations who are represented here today to demonstrate the love and respect they have for Carol and the support they wish to demonstrate to all of you. Instead of naming all the individuals, I'm going to identify the groups, and I ask everyone representing that group to rise and wave and acknowledge the family in any manner that you choose. And many of you are singles, so big waves so the family can see that you're here. This list is basically alphabetical, which will keep me out of the protocol hot water. So just please hold your applause until the end. If I can have all state of Delaware officials, cabinet members, legislature, staff, folks from DEMA and DENREC, please rise and acknowledge the family, please. Our civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army and our retired Assistant Adjutant General Army, General Terry Wiley. The Defense Attaché to our state partners in Trinidad and Tobago, Colonel Roger Carter and his wife Eva. Staff members representing Senator Coons and Congresswoman Blunt Rochester. And this is a big one. All of our Delaware National Guard retirees, general officers, warrant officers, and NCOs, please rise. Several chambers of commerce throughout the state. The American Red Cross. Delaware Technical and Community College. The Delaware National Guard Youth Foundation, the Delaware National Guard and Reserve Emergency Assistance Fund board members, Dover Federal Credit Union, First State Military Women Warriors, Girl Scouts of the Chesapeake Bay, Mission Barbecue, the National Guard Association of the U.S., National Guard Bureau, including the Deputy Director of the Air National Guard, Major General Don Deskins and Major Lazier, Patriot Guard, USO Delaware, Wastemaster Solutions, Women in Aviation. There's a large group of them. And finally, current members of our Delaware Air and Army National Guard, including live or virtually live from Alaska, our Assistant Adjutant General Air, Brigadier General Wenke, and from the great state of Connecticut, the Assistant Adjutant General Army for Connecticut, Brigadier General Karen Berry. Thank you all for being here. Okay, you all may be seated. Thank you very much for that. At this time, I would ask that our former Adjutant General and a true mentor and friend to Carol, General Frank Vavala, to escort Lynn to join me on the stage to offer their thoughts.
General Berry, Thank you, General Vavla. Thank you to my Guard family for hosting this memorial service today for Carol. I know it was a lot of work, and it is truly appreciated by both the Timmons family and me. Welcome and thank you to all of you for coming out today to celebrate and remember the life of my wife, Major General Carol Timmons. To most of you, she was known as your leader, commander, colleague, friend, whose 42-year career was astonishing. But to me and our family, she was simply known as Carol. To the family, she was a daughter, sister, aunt, niece, cousin. To our dog Abby, she was Mom. And to me, she was my wife, my friend, my soulmate. She was the love of my life. I expect most of today's speakers will be talking about Carol's professional life. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the personal side of Carol and our life together. I would be remiss if I did not start out with a story of what we in the family know as one of the many classic Carol stories. This one is my favorite. To me, it captures her essence so perfectly. Carol started walking when she was around 9 months old. She was an overachiever from the start. One day, she and her mom were in the backyard, which was enclosed by a chain link fence. Her mom was hanging clothes, and Carol was just playing. When her mom looked up to check on Carol, she was nowhere to be found. What Mom did see was a tiny little tennis shoe stuck on top of the chain link fence. Carol had escaped. Of course, her mom was hysterical. She called the neighbors and called the police to look for Carol. Luckily, they found her safe and sound, 2 streets over, in someone's open garage, happily sitting on a rocking horse, just smiling and rocking away. To me, this is just one of the many stories that showed her passion for adventure, her fervent tenacity, and her intense curiosity, all of which stayed with her throughout her entire life. Perhaps it is a little-known fact that at the age of 5, Carol decided she was going to fly. Even at such a young age, it was a dream of hers. She turned her dreams into goals, and her goals into reality. What accomplishments! She flew Huey helicopters, 141s, C-130s for the military, and the 727, 757, and 767 as a commercial airline pilot. But the C-130 was her favorite. She loved to fly. She loved wearing that green flight suit, and I might add, she looked good in it. She decided not to become a captain for United Airlines, so she would have more time and flexibility to devote to the Guard. She loved the Guard and flying the 130. I can't stress enough how much she loved that aircraft and enjoyed flying it. She even liked to deploy. She would say, "That's what I was trained to do." Of course, I wasn't quite as happy about the deployments, but I knew that is who she was and what she truly loved to do: serve her country. With Carol, the person you saw on the outside was the same person on the inside. She was true to herself. She walked the walk and talked the talk. She was a strong woman with a big heart. She lived her personal life with the same passion and intensity as her professional life. She always put people before herself. She wanted to take care of everyone, to make sure everyone was okay. It did not matter who you were. She treated everyone the same, with respect. She had that way of making you feel comfortable and important, no matter who you were, family, friend, acquaintance, or stranger. She showed people they matter. We all have a purpose for being here, great or small, and we should all be treated equally. That was something I always admired about her gift of kindness and understanding. Some of the things Carol was passionate about and stand out to me as I have heard her talk about them many times over the years. Team building, teamwork. It's all about the team, she would say. She'd have her little hand going. It's all about the team. It's about bringing the right people together that makes the difference. And the mission. Airmen and soldiers come first. If you take care of the airmen and soldiers, the mission will take care of itself. And you have to take care of the families too. They are also an important part of the mission. And listening. She would always listen to what people had to say. She usually had an answer to your question or a solution to your problem. If not, she would take the time to help solve whatever the situation was, and she was always happy to do so. And lastly, mentoring and recruiting was the closest to her heart. Whenever an opportunity presented itself, she was the Guard's #1 advocate. So now here's a little bit about our story. With Carol, life was never boring. She had a happy spirit and a joyful soul. She loved life. She always had a positive attitude, even when things were not going well. She and I, well, we made each other better. "34 years ago, Carol and I met in a bar where we were introduced by mutual friends and spent the entire evening talking to each other. At the end of the night, Carol walked me to my car and said, 'Oh, I see you drive a Corvette.' I smiled and said yeah, and didn't think too much about the comment at the time. The next day, I was hosting a 4th of July party at my house, and I see a Corvette pull up, and out jumps Carol with a big smile. I said, 'Corvette, huh?' And she replied, 'What else would a pilot drive?' So we laughed, and that was the start of our 34-year relationship, and the first of many things we had in common. We were both the oldest siblings in our families, both walked at 9 months old. We worked in dangerous occupations, she in aviation and me in the oil industry, and both were unusual career paths for women at the time. We loved our dogs, loved the outdoors, loved to travel, and we placed a high priority on family and friends. Some of you may remember, as I remember the day like it was yesterday, when the Delaware Senate passed the same-sex marriage bill, and it was signed by Governor Markell. Carol and I were both at work at the time, but we were listening to the Senate vote. Prior to the vote, I was thinking, if this passes, how would I propose to Carol? I would like it to be nice and romantic. And at that moment of thought, the vote came through. The Senate had passed the bill, and my phone immediately lit up with a text message, "Will you marry me?" I waited 27 years to ask you and just couldn't wait one more minute longer. Needless to say, the proposal pressure was off my plate, and I thought to myself, how romantic was that? It was one of the happiest days of our lives. And yes, we married a month later and spent 34 wonderful years together, 7 of which we were happily married. That was the start of my real introduction into Carol's National Guard family, which became our National Guard family. Everyone was so welcoming, not only to me, but to our relationship. It was the first opportunity we had to really be ourselves in public and be accepted so positively. That meant so much to both of us. We were thankful and blessed to have such wonderful people in our lives. The love, support, and prayers the Guard has shared with both of us over the years, especially the past several months, words cannot express. The Delaware National Guard is truly a family. Carol cared about all of you, and she would be so humbled that you all took the time to be here today. I know she is probably looking down and watching right now, as she never misses anything. So today, hey honey, today this celebration is for you. You are an amazing woman. What a legacy you leave behind. Just know you are loved and that your spirit will live on in many hearts. Keep the wind beneath your new wings, baby. I had a special woman in my life, but I never realized how many lives, people's lives, she truly touched. What a gift and such a blessing she was. I can't thank you all enough for the love you shared with Carol and the outpouring of love and support you have shown me. Thank you all so much. In closing, I would like to share with you words written from Carol by a friend of ours who is an Air Force and commercial pilot as well as a published author, Julie Tizard. Rest, dear warrior, rest. Your fight is over and you have won. But this is not your final flight west. You have no need of metal wings, for now you have your own. You are called to serve once again. This time as our guardian angel. Fly high and fast, Carol. We will see you again amongst the stars. Thank you, Julie, and thank you all so very, very much.
Lynn, please know that we all love Carol. We all love you. And you will always be part of this Delaware National Guard family. You know, even though our hearts are heavy, this is a celebration of life. The life of General Carol Timmons. The life we'll live. A life that had a profound effect on all of us. You know, it's impossible to adequately pay tribute to someone who was bigger than life, who grew up just down the road, going to William Penn High School, and in the shadow of this very airport, a trailblazer, a visionary, a role model and mentor, and a servant leader who always put others before herself. For over 4 decades, this dynamic, humble, and passionate leader approached every challenge with a fierce determination to succeed, and a desire to have others follow as she shattered every glass ceiling that she encountered. She had a unique knack for making all feel appreciated for their service. And her legacy is women and men that she mentored and influenced. I had the good fortune of being touched by this extraordinary dynamo. Our first encounter occurred many years ago when she transferred from her beloved Air National Guard to our Army National Guard. At that time, believe it or not, the Army had the foresight to allow women to become pilots, flying helicopters, the UH-1, right here on these very grounds. Carol was the first in line as she kicked down the door, excelling in what at this time was a male-dominated profession. I could see from the first that there was something special about this crackerjack ball of fire who wouldn't let anything deter her. I followed her career and watched her continue to overcome obstacles, moving to the Air Force Reserve to fly the heavy transport C-141. And then she eventually came back to us to fly our C-130s, becoming a highly respected and admired aviator within our Air National Guard community. When I had the opportunity to appoint an Assistant Adjutant General, it was a no-brainer that Carol became our first woman General Officer. Her interest and enthusiasm energized our Air National Guard and solidified their exemplary legacy of excellence. Likewise, when it was time for me to leave, Carol Timmons was the only choice to become a first once again as Adjutant General. She has made an indelible mark on our Delaware National Guard. The true measure of life is, did you make a difference? And all of us here today know what a huge difference she made in our lives. Her legacy will live on in perpetuity. Carol, we are exponentially blessed that you passed our way. May the God of the earth and sky grant you eternal happiness as you soar through the heavens on the wings of angels.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, General Vavelin. At this time, it is a great honor for me to have the opportunity to introduce the individual who had the foresight and the intuition to hire Major General Timmons for the position of Adjutant General. Please join me in welcoming to the podium the Commander-in-Chief of the Delaware National Guard and the Governor of the great state of Delaware, the Honorable John Carney.
Quite a sight and quite a tribute. Father Giamella was given credit for the sunshine, the warmth, and the nice breeze. I think it's Carol smiling down on us, keeping us on our toes with a little bit of breeze. We have to hold our notes as we would go through our remarks. She always had an incredible sense of humor. Lynn and Ann, and to the whole Timmons family, thank you for the opportunity to be with you today to share and pay tribute to Carol. Lynn, thank you for those wonderful and loving words that you shared with all of us. You and the General, I've never felt so inadequate in my task before me now in providing remarks on Carol's behalf. But I feel blessed to be with you today as we say goodbye and recognize her long and distinguished service to our state. While I know her first as her Commander-in-Chief, and it was never in doubt, General Vavla told me I had to do it. I remember her today, as most of us, as our friend. General Barry, General Vavla, and to the rest of the Delaware Guard family, thank you for helping support General Timmons in her long career as a strong, kind, proud servant of Delaware and the citizen soldier in the truest sense. Under General Timmons' leadership of the Guard, I never had to worry, never had to wonder if things were squared away at the Delaware Army and Air National Guard. Without her ever saying it, her demeanor said, "I got this," especially when she wore that leather bomber jacket. And she looked good on that too. She herself was always squared away, ready, as has been said, with a quip, an encouraging word, or an insightful comment. She always seemed to know the right thing to say and when to say it. At our monthly cabinet meetings, things can get a little dry. A number of her cabinet colleagues who have joined us today. And sometimes I would look around the room and see folks scrolling on their phones. Some of those members, as I said, are here and they know what I'm talking about. But not General Timmons. She came to every meeting bright-eyed and ready to go, full of support for her colleagues, and always full of questions and ideas. Whenever I'd see that she was about to speak, I'd find myself feeling automatically intrigued. I couldn't wait to hear what she was going to say. And it was always something smart and insightful, but delivered in that down-to-earth style of the Newcastle girl made good that she really was. She always had a perspective that I never thought of before, and you could just feel as she talked that her colleagues were equally enchanted with her and what she was saying. She was clearly a light in that room, and her integrity shone right through every single minute of every day. Her backbone was ramrod straight. I saw her navigate more than one sticky situation that would have made lesser men and women hesitate. But she didn't blink. For most of her career, she was the consummate citizen soldier, balancing her job as a commercial pilot while rising through the ranks as the Guard. She gave up that career step, as was discussed, into the shoes of Adjutant General, because she knew we needed her, and she loved the Guard. And if we needed any greater sign of her commitment to mission, as she reached the end of her journey, Carol stepped down from the job of her dreams. She did it with grace and with courage and on her terms. I remember well the day she came into my office to tell me she was ready to leave. She said she didn't want to do the job if she couldn't put everything she had into it. It was a difficult moment for me, as it is remembering today. One thing to know about Carol is she was always a good hugger. She wouldn't make it today with the no hugging rule. She'd give you a hug if you were feeling down or to end a serious conversation, to show we were still friends. And so as she was leaving my office that day, knowing I think full well that what fate likely awaited her, she gave me a hug because she saw how upset I was by her news. She was comforting me. I think about Carol a lot. Like most of you, I miss her. As Maya Angelou once said, and I quote, "People will forget what you say. They'll forget what you did. But they'll never forget how you made them feel." Being around Carol always made me feel better, happier, with a little better lift in my step. Like I could lean on some of the courage and strength that she carried with her. And I miss that today too. Put very simply, there was nothing, absolutely nothing, not to like about General Carol Timmons. I, for one, am a better person for having known her, and Delaware is a better place for her service. Lynn, if our former Vice President Joe Biden were here, he would say that he hopes and prays that the day will come when the memory of Carol brings a smile to your face instead of a tear to your eye. As you can see, that day hasn't come yet for me, but I hope it has for you. Because when I think of Carol, I can never help but smile just a little bit. So today I just want to say thank you to Carol Timmons one last time for her service to our country and to our state, but most important of all, for her true and steady friendship.
Thank you, Governor Carney. It's now my pleasure to introduce a retired naval aviator, the former Commander-in-Chief of the Delaware National Guard and former Governor of Delaware, and one of Delaware's 2 United States Senators, Senator Tom Carper.
Thank you, General Barry. Can you hear me in back? Do you want to? I hope so. Lynn, Ann, your family, Governor, General, friends, family, and I have a speech in my pocket here. I'm not gonna. Someone was kind enough to write it. I'm not gonna read it. I just want to talk to you a little bit from my own heart. And I would guess that some of you know how many have known Carol Timmons for more than 10 years? How many have known her for like more than 20 years? How many have known her for more than 30 years? How many have known her for 34 years and been married to her for 7? All right. My wife and I have been married 34 years. We've been together 34 years. And the reason why those numbers are the same is because, Lynn, I told her on the night of our first date, a blind date, that I wanted to marry her. And we were at Mrs. Rubino's restaurant in Wilmington on Union Street. And it was about 10 o'clock when dinner was over and our waiter wanted to leave, and I said, give me 5 more minutes. And he said, okay. And so we were having a great dinner, a wonderful time, and I was really like taken. The first time I saw her, I knew this was it. And she didn't. but at the end of dinner, I asked the waiter to give us 5 more minutes. We were ready to close. He was ready to give us our check. And I said to Martha, I said, how about a toast? And she said, okay. And I raised my glass and I said, here's to our marriage. She turned to the waiter, she said, come here. I came over and she said, give him the check, call me a taxi. And I like, call me a taxi. And he looked at her, she's sitting there, he looked at her and said, okay, you're a taxi. And I took her home. And 6 weeks later, she took me home to North Carolina, up in the mountains. And up high on the mountain, I held her out over a ledge until she finally said she'd marry me. People say to her, what's it like being married to Tom for 34 years? And Len, here's what she says. Happiest 4 years of my life. So I'm hopeful that yours were all 34 happy and great memories and just a lot of love. I want to say to Ann, my mother had one sister, her younger sister, much younger sister. And she spelled her name A-N-N-E, just like you do. And her mom had my Aunt Ann had 3 children, 2 sons, and a daughter, which I think is what you have. And when my mom died, her mom died a little earlier. She had dementia. She died earlier. But her younger sister, Ann, outlived her. And she was sort of like a mom to us. So I feel a kinship with somebody who has a mom, and you have 2 sons here, and your daughter, Susan. I just want to say thank you. And your husband, Forrest, I understand, has passed away. I just want to thank you and your husband and others in the family who helped raise her, instill values in her, motivate her, love her, discipline her. Thank you for doing that. Let's give her a big round of applause. Huge round of applause. Stand up, Ann, stand up. Stand up, please. Woo! Come on. Thank you. I ask how many of you have known Carol for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I've known her for most of that period of time. And I tell you, when we in this, anybody here from out of state? Anybody from another state? Yeah. For they're visiting here from another state, you're in the first state. Delaware's we're the first state to ratify the Constitution. And we did it down in Dover, Delaware, December 7th. What was it, John? 1787. 1787. And for one whole week, we were the entire United States of America, Delaware. That's why they call us the first state. For a while, our state motto was, it's good to be first. It's good to be first. And that might have been Carol's motto, too. To think of all the firsts. Think of all the firsts in her life. I became a midshipman, Navy midshipman, ROTC at Ohio State, 17, and I got to the first day that we met with my recruit class at Ohio State, and there are no women in that recruit class. Got out to my training squadron down in Pensacola, no women. Got to my squadron down in Corpus Christi, training squadron again, where Carol was born, wasn't she? She was born in Carol. How about your sons? Were they born down there too? Okay. Yeah. That's where I got my wings, and we used to commiserate a little bit about the important role that Corpus Christi played in our lives. But I got to my active duty squadrons right in the middle of the Vietnam War, and before I went to Southeast Asia the first 3 times for me, I noticed in my squadron there were no women. And we went around to see other squadrons, P3s. We had no women in those squadrons. That's all changed. When John Carney was a congressman, he and I got to nominate women to go to the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, West Point, Merchant Marine Academy. And I'll never forget on active duty deployment, and this is when I was in the reserves later on, we're chasing Soviet subs in the Mediterranean and landed in a place, an island down off the coast of Italy. And we had to be picked up by we had a problem with our airplane. We had to be picked up by another aircraft, the C-130. And the plane landed, they taxied up to where we're standing, and they let down the stairway, and the crew came off. They were all women. The officers were all women. The enlisted personnel, the cargo master, they're all women. And I turned to one of my colleagues and I said, it's a new world. It is a new world. And Carol Timmons helped to lead that world. She really helped make it possible for a lot of other women to have the courage to become an airline pilot. I lost track of how many aircraft she learned to fly. I think I heard 727s, 757s, 767s, and the beat goes on. And helicopters, fixed-wing aircraft, Air Force Reserve, Guard, Army Guard, and Air Guard. Oh my God, what a career. What a career. You know what we call that in the Navy? Showing off. What a human being to celebrate. If we had time, we don't, and I'll close with this. If we had time to go around this audience and ask everybody to maybe to tell us one word that they would use to describe her, it'd be interesting to hear what people have to say. I bet some people would say she was fun. She was. Others would say she was funny. And she was. Some would say she was humble. And she was. In a kind of a fun kind of way. Some people would say she was a servant. She believed that her job was to serve, and she loved serving her country. Some would say that she was a person who embraced and demonstrated the golden rule throughout her life. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. She kind of like put herself in other people's shoes and said, that's how would I want to be treated if I were them, and that's the way she treated them. That's the way she treated them. Every now and then I get to give commencement addresses, so does the governor. Chris Coons, who can't be here today, he's on the Senate Judiciary Committee. They are busy today, as you may know, in Washington, D.C. Lisa Blunt Rochester, our only congresswoman, would love to be here talking about people breaking glass ceilings. She loved Carol, and she is self-quarantined right now, and having been exposed to somebody, I think, just very recently with the virus. But they cannot be here. But we all have a chance to give a lot of commencement addresses. You know, high school, we got folks here from Del Tech, probably Wilmington University. We have a chance to give commencement addresses. I don't know about John, but I think he loves doing it. God, I know I do. And high schools, colleges, universities, whatever. And I've gotten to the point where sometimes they ask us to give a long address, like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes it's just short. You're like a walk-on. You say, well, bring them up from the, say a few words. And I've gotten my walk-on speech down to like 10 words. 10 words. And when I give it, I say to the graduates, I say, I'm going to give you the shortest commencement speech any of you have ever heard. They start applauding. And I have them stand up. And they stop applauding, but I say, are you ready to say it? And I'm going to repeat this, and I want you to say it. I'm not going to ask you folks to, but maybe I will. But I say there's 10 words, and I'm going to say the first two, and I want the audience, the graduates, to repeat those words. And I say the first two words are aim high. And then the graduates say aim high. And I have them say it till they say it really loud. And then I tell them the next two words are work hard. And they say work hard, and I have them say it over and over again. They say it really, work hard, they say it really loud. Then I say, now the next four are four, and embrace the golden rule. And then I have them say repeatedly, embrace the golden rule. And the last two words I have them say are, don't quit. Don't quit. And they repeat those as well. I want you all to stand up. And I want you to join me in repeating after me. These are words. She lived these words. They define her life, her character. The first two words are aim high. No, better than that. Aim high. Aim high. The second two words are work hard. Work hard. The next four words, embrace the golden rule. Embrace the golden rule. And the last two, don't quit. Don't quit. Say those again, don't quit. Don't quit. One more time, don't quit. Don't quit. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Carper. Now, for the next portion of our program, I'm going to ask you to please remain in your seats, which will allow everyone to see this significant and emotional tradition. State Command Sergeant Major Crossman, State Command Chief Master Sergeant Ottinger, case the colors.
Personal General Officer flags started as a Navy tradition, but were adopted by the War Department in 1903. Flags today are used by all branches of service for officers in the grades of 07 through 010. General officers, often referred to as flag officers, are in fact not merely promoted. They are nominated by the President of the United States and confirmed by the Senate, and then appointed. General Timmons received this very flag upon her promotion to Major General on February 1st, 2017. Today, we will case the colors. Organizational colors historically were uncased prior to battle and cased at the end. Today, personal flags are uncased at promotion and cased upon successful completion of the duty. This ceremony honors General Timmons' completion of duty and delivers the final salute. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the benediction delivered by the Delaware National Guard State Chaplain, Andrew Werner.
Let us pray. Almighty, as we conclude our time here, we are grateful for Major General Timmons' legacy with us in the Delaware National Guard. We will always remember her smile and can-do attitude. We appreciate her service to our state and nation. May she find peace. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the departure of the official party and the playing of both the Army and Air Force songs to honor General Timmons' service to the United States of to the United States Army, Air Force, and the state of Delaware as the Adjutant General. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending. This concludes today's celebration. You are welcome to approach the C-130 static display for pictures. Please be mindful of the cones preventing violation of the airport's controlled movement areas. Also, please adhere to social distancing standards and be cautious when you approach the aircraft. The ground can be uneven. Thank you.